Okay, so welcome to the product demonstration for the ROI Console ICE Deployment Tool. Now, as you've read, I'm sure you've read the information already, quite a flexible tool that allows you to export your customization in the form of BPMs, dashboards, BAQs, menu items, report data definitions, report styles, SSRS and crystal reports, in their native format, in separate files rather than one big lump of a solution file, and then import them on a quite a granular basis, so you can import them separately in their own individual format, and that basically allows you to track your software development or your customizations a lot easier than you would do through solution files. And also it may well be just the process that you follow internally. You may have team validation service set up or some other source control which utilizes a specific structure that's similar to that. Anyway, obviously out of the box Epicor doesn't facilitate that functionality, hence we have this deployment tool here. Quite easy to use, as you can see here. We've got a deployment directory, so if we're deploying any client or server assemblies, we have the ability to import BAQs, BPMs, XMLs, DVDs and CAB files separately, or you can import everything that's in the current list of supported files. Now I've got CAB files there. Give you a little insight into why I'm using CABs. Basically, if you wish to export menu items, items to be displayed in the menu structure of Epicor, or indeed modified report data definitions, report styles cannot be exported separately. So you have to use, unfortunately, the solution manager to export those utilities or those functions into a CAB file. They can all be in the same CAB file, or they can be separately, and then this tool will import whatever's in there because it just supports, as I said, those three types of customization. And then you've got the import all functionality, which we'll run through, as I said, within the list. So we've got a tree view down the left hand side. We've got a standard toolbar along the top. We've got our tabs here with our import settings on the front page, and on the second page we can see we've got a list of customizations in separate tabs. So very standard look and feel for an Epicor product. So if I was to select a scan directory, now that would be obviously the directory where my source files are based. So I select the appropriate file there. As you can see there, I've got it all set up: BAQ, BPM, CAB, DVD and XML. So if I take you to that directory, you can see in that in a BAQ file I've got a couple of BAQs. One's updatable, one isn't updatable. BPM, I've got a data directive and a method directive. CAB file, as I said, I've got a menu modification, report data definition copy, and a report style which utilizes an SSRS report. Also, I have various dashboards and some XMLs that I've exported from form customization. Some of this data may or may not exist in the database, but it's irrelevant because, as you would do using the very manual process within Epicor, you can select your overwrite, rename, and that type of thing. And we'll see how to do that as we go through the demo. So you can see our customizations. Our tree view contains the list of loaded customizations from the output directory, as we can see here, sample output. Our MISC directory is our CAB file, where we can target our current company, or it will be a global import, i.e. for menu items. and overwrite file and data conflicts. File conflicts obviously being the SSRS reports, the report files. Data conflicts obviously being the report data definitions, styles, and menu items. XMLs, they are what they are, does what it says in the tin. Dashboard does what it says in the tin. They come with, with or without BAQs. And I'll go through each one of these tabs in more detail in a moment. And then we've got BAQs if we wish to import those separately, and also our BPMs, whether they be data or method directives. So I'm going to start with my BAQs, and I'm going to move over towards my CAB files. So basically BAQ import is fairly straightforward. You can choose to give it a new ID, or if it does exist, you can select to overwrite it with the existing ID that's contained in the file, the export file. If it doesn't exist, if you don't give it a new ID and it exists and you haven't selected to overwrite, it will error. Fairly sort of straightforward stuff there. So I mean, what I'm going to do is basically just import them and see what happens. All right, so I'm basically importing everything in this BAQ list. And it's saying an updatable BAQ directive. The directive BAQ2 UPD, it has been detected to be an updatable directive. You need to refer to updatable BAQ maintenance in upgrade and mass regeneration to regenerate that file. Now that will be, pretty much because obviously the format in Epicor 10 is that when a BPM is imported, there are certain class files in C# that need to be compiled and put on the server. That program does that for you. You would have to do that anyway. It may well be that future releases of this product contain the auto generation facility. We'll have to see how well it takes off. So obviously we've got the BAQ1 imported successfully, BAQ2 UPD imported successfully. So let's go back to the application and check to see if they have in fact imported. If I go to the BAQ form and I check for BAQ1 and BAQ2, obviously they are there. So we've got BAQ1 there, so I can go to analyze the query, test the query, and the query results are returned. Now if I go to BAQ2, analyze that query, obviously the syntax is okay, but bearing in mind we haven't regenerated those class files, we are going to get an error when we try to run it. This particular BAQ allows me to update stock value percent, and percent tolerance of an ABC code. Bear with me. So when I do an update on that, it's saying, look, hold on a minute, this BPM needs to be regenerated. So there's a bit of an issue there. So as the menu instructs you, go into System Management, Upgrade Mass Regeneration, Updatable BAQ Maintenance, locate your BAQ. Select it, Actions, Regenerate selected. Once that's done, we should be able to run through our BAQ designer. We'll do a get list at this point again, refresh the data set, set our data back to whatever value we wanted, update, and the query returned one row, updatable query action fulfilled and reported no error. So as I said, I set that percentage tolerance to 15. If I do a get list again, that should be persistent, and as you can see there, that data has remained. So those two BAQs imported successfully. Now if I go back to my deployment tool and try to re-import those, because they exist, it says hold on a minute, query exists, you've chosen not to overwrite it. Same for BAQ2, you've chosen not to overwrite it. Again, if I select overwrite on these fields, it will overwrite and you have to go through the same process again. Alternatively, I can give it another name. What was it? BAQ2, UPDA, whatever. Alright, and we can import our BAQ there. Chose not to overwrite, so that's going to error. However, our BAQ2 UPDA should be renamed. BAQ2 UPD should be renamed BAQ2 UPDA, and as it says, it refers you to the regeneration process again. So if we go back to our updatable BAQ maintenance there, BAQ2 UPDA in fact exists, we can regenerate that. And then locate it in BAQ, Business Activity Query Designer. BAQ2 UPDA. And we can now analyze that. Syntax is okay, get the list. Okay, change that back down to some random value. Update our BAQ2 UPDA, get list once we've updated, and as you can see the percent tolerance is persistent, so that successfully imported those BAQs. Back to the deployment tool, BPMs. Now a couple of options here. You can select a destination group for your BPM to be placed into. You can select one from all the groups that are available. This list here contains the data directive and method directive groups, or you can manually type in a destination group. You can overwrite the group with with whatever group as I said, rather than the group it's in already, you can place it in another group with the value that you enter there, or you can actually overwrite all those values that you place in there with exactly what you've exported, okay, i.e. what's in the file. So it reads a file, it gets the group from the file, overwrites it in the database with whatever's from the file. So if I import those BPMs fairly quick there, data directive BPM imported successfully, method directive BPM imported successfully. Directives are marked as outdated and will need to be recompiled. Please refer to Directive Update Business Process Management. Again, as I said, very similar to updatable BAQs, those class files need to be generated and placed in the server target directories, or like the pro path if you guys are familiar with Epicor. Epicor 9 basically is the execution path, where the ICE framework finds these tools that allow us to modify the business process or the business objects. So they need to be generated. That's not done automatically in the moment. If there's high demand for this product, then it may well be in the future, so just watch this space. So data directives and method directives. So let's go to our business process directive update program, directive recompile setup. The outdated directives only. I mean, I know mine basically are, I put them in specific groups, ICE DEP MD and ICE DEP DD for data directive and method directive, but they are outdated as well. So we can just start that recompile for the outdated directive, and hopefully it won't take too long. Maybe I should have just selected my my specific groups, but that should be okay. Okay, cool. So the ABC code method directives on the update and get new have been updated, as have the data directives on customer and order detail. So if I go now to my method directive maintenance, okay, so I've got two directives there. Various directives, I've got, setting fields, I've got custom code, so there's been some fairly specific testing performed on this. They're enabled, so if I go and recompile those, they will compile successfully. Okay, so if we want to view, what's in this, I mean, let's suppose processing, we haven't got the display there. Sometimes, that's a framework issue. Those of you familiar with this customization framework will see, minor issues like that. But when you actually get into the designer, let's go to full screen here. When you actually get into the designer, you'll see, set TTABC code of the added row to some random value. Okay, and as I said, I've also got showing message boxes, as you can see there, and custom code is fully supported. So if I go into my pre-processing, you can see here I'm actually executing some custom code, some link code, and it is what it is. Ultimately, you've got all the types of statements that you would do, in your day-to-day activities in that custom code, and it has imported successfully. It compiles successfully because that's it compiled, because it exported. It compiled before it exported, so it is what it is. So let's check our data directives. So we can search by my directives here. ICE DEP DD test. Okay, and got a couple of in transactions on various tables there. What have I got? Let's have a look. It's a change log. Okay, on one of them, and this one, I believe I just copied and pasted it from another BPM, so it's an execute custom code again, and a condition, so some C# and some link code in there, which looks very geeky. And as I said, you can ensure these directives compile by disabling and enabling them. Okay, so going back to our data directive, so our group isn't in there, right? So let's just refresh. Standard, revert to the toolbar. As I said, there is standard functionality in this toolbar. The new will launch your folder search. The save, if you modify a field and you want that to make sure that's persistent before you hit any of the actions menu, you can delete the current record, pressing the delete, clear or clear the form. BPM, if I want to refresh that now, we should see Brilliant. Yeah, standard. It worked 10 minutes ago. Okay, anyway. Right, so let's just, here we go, because I want to see them now. BPM. So those groups have been added, there you go, and they've been refreshed in there. So now if I go, this data directive, excuse me, was in this destination group. This method directive was in that destination group, and again, the security, you know, it exists. You need to make sure that you know you want to overwrite the group. So if you're doing revisions, the same for BAQs. You can do revisions or you can overwrite. You know, it's absolutely up to you. Same with the customization XMLs, dashboards, CAB files. It gives you the options as you would do manually through the interface: customization, personalization, maintenance, manually importing them. You know, you can do that. But ultimately, you know, this deployment tool is a one-stop shop. Okay, it's based on a directory structure. You place all your customizations in the appropriate directory. It scans them, it loads them. You press import all after you set all the settings. Go and make a cup of tea. All right, and then you can go and put that back to, you know, to TFS, source safe, whatever you're doing. It's not such a manual process. You know, things are easily tracked and managed. And you know, if you have that mentality, you know, you can use your your source safe structure. You know, with the same approach, and everything can be granular. Things can be revised, branched, merged. Very, very useful, especially for the large, high-end customizations with lots of coding in them. So XMLs, speed up a little bit. So these XMLs, they don't exist currently in any of the companies. They're ABC codes. If I go to my ABC code form, I've got one custom ABC code on Epicor 6, one on VN10T, right? So basically, these ones will essentially import based on the company that you've exported them from, or you can import them into the current company, or you can import them to all companies. So really quite flexible there. All right, so I'm going to import my XML. It's warned you, hold on a minute, bad custom AB was exported from Epicor 6, re-imported current company Epicor 3. Now, if you try to do that based on the framework into Epicor 6 while you're in Epicor 3, it causes problems, which is why I haven't added that functionality. So, or you can go all companies, import XML. Right, and again, because now these customizations have been imported against all companies with the same name, and I try to do it again, I'll say, hold on a minute, you can't do that unless you want to overwrite. So I select overwrite. Again, the granular thing, I've gone and made a couple of changes, I've dumped it back in the directory, I just want to overwrite it. Okay, that's how you do it, job done. Alternatively, current company, give it a new name, test 1. Test 2, all right, import my XMLs, and great. I'll get an error. Let's try that again. That's the first one I've seen. So, I mean, they imported anyway because it found it. It was just been... I have to sort of ignore that. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, either way, so you can see test 1, Epicor 3, test 2, Epicor 3, based on the previous customization. So this one is based on bad ABC code, which is imported into all companies, and Epicor 6. And then we've got test into all companies, and Epicor 3, which is the current company. And again, you know, if you want to test whether the customization works, you know, there you go. It's a customization. Dashboards, again, you can import them with BAQs or without BAQs. Quite complicated. You know, you can choose to not import the BAQs. If you've got a dashboard with multiple BAQs, I only overwrite them. at this point. Next version, you're going to have the facility to rename them. But at this point, you either don't import all of the BAQs or replace all of the BAQs. It's as simple as that. Okay, this is a version 2. I don't need that record there. That's got a couple of extra like fields. We can do a revision, but you know, if you we can do that at another time. Menu items I know exists, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. If you don't give the dashboard a new ID, it will give you a unique identifier automatically, so it will rename it for you and copy it for you. So if we go to dashboards, menu items should already exist. As you can see there, it is a functioning dashboard. Alright. Okay, so let's go ahead and import these DBDs. They obviously imported BAQ, test BAQ1. Test BAQ2, it's not updatable BAQ. Obviously you need to regenerate that in order for the functionality to work. And there you go, menu items exist, so it says, hold on a minute, we're going to give it some random name, BFC0 plus the existing name, and we're going to copy it across. And as I said, it does overwrite the BAQs. It doesn't care about the BAQs at this point, and in this version, in the future version, you know, we just got generally available today. So, you know, the next version will certainly support multiple BAQ renaming, as I suppose, as I should say, rather than overwriting. So let's go back to my upgrade mass generation, updatable BAQ, test BAQ2, generate selected. Okay, then I go to business process management and update my outdated directives. Sorry, business process management, I'm getting lost there. It was updatable BAQ. Anyway, dashboard. So what we've got now is our CF or BFC0 menu items. Okay, so a fully functioning dashboard there. At this point, I might have found a bug with this. I don't know whether it's demo database or what, but it seems to keep dashboards persistently. Yeah, I have to close it down, reopen it. Here's one for you, Epicor. Get it sorted. So we've got DBD1 and DBD2. DBD1 non-updatable. Just, you know, based on, you know, part BAQ. And then we've got DBD2 updatable. So we can see how that works. Let's go to developer and deploy it. Right. Alrighty, so C1 ppm, save that. Hopefully we don't get server on fire error. Refresh. the data is persistent. Okay, and again, if we actually go to our business activity query designer, we can see those BAQs have been imported separately. Because obviously, well, I mean, I haven't got a company prefix with those particular BAQs. So test BAQ 1, you know, standard BAQ, test BAQ 2, do the get list. Alright, and my data there is persistent. PPM. Alright, and we do our update. And with great joy, we see the data is persistent through our BAQ. Okay, finally, we're going to import our menu items and report data definitions. This one's a little bit slower because I have found actually, you know, this in low performance machines like my VMware, it is a little bit retarded. So I've got a report data definition and a report style in there. My one's AR, based on AR form EXP it's called. It's basically got an additional table, some excluded fields, and you know, the sort of stuff that you expect in a standard data definition. I've got a report style which uses that data definition. That style is pointing to a report on my report server, AR invoice form. AR form 2 is pointing at that actually, so what I'm going to do is delete that because I exported my report as well. And it's got some menu items, so we should see some menu items under system management above my menu item ROI there. So a menu items, target current company, overwrite file conflicts, overwrite data conflicts. You know, I'm going to go for all companies and, you know, just go crazy with it. All right. Import my CAD file. Wait with bated breath. And actually, this process is probably the one, you know, next to dashboards, one of the more complicated process because you have to do many things with a CAD file. The report data definition, you know, in its nature is quite a how can I put it? It's, you know, it's a bit of a sluggard. And then you also have to upload the RDL to your report server and that sort of thing. So, but there you go. I mean, it seems to have successfully done it. So let's just check the results. First of all, let's check our RDL, see if that's available on our report server. This is standard Epicor stuff, by the way. So maintenance should be fairly straightforward. You know, these report objects, you know, use your configured task agent and report settings from the admin server. And if you haven't got that set up, you know, don't expect, you know, my application to work because no other application will work within Epicor that depends on it. And as you can see there, AR form 2 has been uploaded. Let's check my menu items. Oh, I left my form open. Broken. genius. And as you can see here, a menu item called test has appeared. In that, I've got just a program attached to the menu. And it is critical with these menu items, as I'm sure you know, that you have the parent menu items available, and that's not quite a straightforward thing to do. And we do ensure that the appropriate menu items are imported, in the hierarchical fashion that they should be. Reporting, report data definition, report styles depend on report data definitions. So again, we should be able to see that our data definition has been imported successfully. And again, it's just a slug it. And it is standard changes: excluded fields, additional tables, additional relationships. So you can see here I've got the order head table in there added into this particular definition. I've got a couple of excluded fields in the customer table. I've added an additional relationship based on certain keys into the definition as well, which I'm not going to show you because ultimately it's been quite a long demonstration and the damn thing's too slow. So report style. Let's see our report style import there, and we can see my style here: test form or test style 1, using data definition AR form EXP, pointing to my AR form RDL file on the report server. And that is pretty much concludes the demo for the generally available ICE deployment tool as of Tuesday the 24th of May. If you are interested in purchasing it, you can buy a single site license, i.e., you're basically allowed to deploy customizations to one site, or you can resell the product. Either way, it comes, with a yearly subscription, 10% of the cost. You'll get upgrades to whatever service pack of Epicor you're working on. Also, there's a ticketing, there's a ticket-based system on my website, which there is another video for, which will give you instruction on how to use that. Should you find any issues or bugs, in order to report them, put them in an appropriate queue to get resolved. So yeah, you can purchase it on the website via credit card, or send me an email, give me a call. Hopefully, you'll find it useful. And with that note, I will end the presentation.